What's up, everybody? It's your boy Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. Back with another live recording of our show for you today. Listen, we got a live on the day. We're going to do some defensive tape footage. I'm going to respond today from today's episode of Get Up's conversation about Justin Fields. We're going to give out the Drunk Uncle Award. So much more, man. We're going to talk about this Caleb Williams Justin situation a little bit more. I'm gonna let you know what I got coming up as it pertains to the Caleb Williams and Drake May and any other quarterback that may be coming out this year. I'm pretty much gonna do film work on a lot of the top prospects after the season. So y'all hang in there with me. Listen, y'all know what's next. Y'all want to do Coach Boone today? Nah, I ain't gonna do Coach Boone. Let's get it cracking. Y'all know what's next. Cue the intro, maestro. Let's go. Contra.
Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence. On the road to them Benjis, I fill my teeth with diamonds. I'm high as fuck in the sky, you would've thought I'm pilot. I'm from Chicago, it get ugly, fill the streets with violence. Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence.
Past, present, future. We bear down.
It's just like that, Bears fans. Thanks for joining us. I see a lot of y'all in the chat. Do me a favor as you come in. And if you're watching this on the playback, do me a favor, man. It's not that hard. Just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come hang out with us. Be a part of the group, man. You know what I'm saying? Hang out we're going to have Bears content coming all off season long, as this will be one of the biggest Bears offseason in recent history. Yes, Ryan Poles has a major decision to make. You know what I'm saying? It's reached the national media. The national media is talking about it now, like with consistency. Usually they just ignore Chicago sports, but because we have the first draft so far, still, we're holding on to the first draft pick. And we potentially have the fourth or fifth pick. What's the latest on that? I'll throw that graphic up in a second. It's garnered some attention from the national media. And lots of people talking about that. I'm going to talk about that in a second real fast. I got to give a shout out to the consistent, the irreplaceable, the best Bears fans in the nation. Those that's been rocking with me for a couple years. The over 2,200 and something number of you that have subscribed to the channel. Yes, I'm talking about for being part of the channel, because you guys are what's making this thing go. It's making it happen. You guys are the payment for our time and doing this type thing. And by the way, I want to say this. If you are a partaker of any Bears content, any channel, right? And I support most all of them, you know what I'm saying? No shade, but I just have my preferences. But this is the currency. No matter who you're consuming content from, your likes and your subscription is the currency for our time. So whoever it is, right? Go out there and subscribe to their channels, man. Like their videos, because our time is precious, and it's the only repayment we get for our time is to get those likes and those subscriptions. So right with the people you rock with. Coach T doesn't have to endorse them, but at least, you know what I'm saying, recognize these people for the time. I gotta straighten up. I always gotta straighten up my brand, man. Anyway, yeah, I'm goated today. Anyway, shout out to the field soldiers, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's cold down here in the basement studio. Yes, live from the basement. I don't mind saying. By the way, we got a huge remodel project going on starting next month, and I'm excited for it because it's gonna be a big deal after we're done with it. Full den, 2 extra bedrooms and a bathroom going in, and the den area, the bear den, the bear cave, if you will, is going to double as a podcast studio. It's going to be a pretty big coin uh, going into this project. So I'm excited for it happen this year. We've been talking about it for a couple years. So, but yeah, got to talk about what I woke up to this morning. Of course, I wake up, my personal regimen, if you will, get my day going, get up, work from home, start with a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing two things at once. I'm doing my day job and I'm keeping my eye on Bears Twitter and what the conversations are. And I'm watching Get Up, ESPN at the same time. Big conversation happened this morning with Mike Greenberg, is it? Dan Orlovsky, my guy. I like Dan Orlovsky. Big fan of Dan Orlovsky. Don't always agree with whatever Dan says, but I like Dan. I like it because he's a film guy. He's an X's and O's guy. I like Dan. He breaks it. He's a good teacher. And he brings that film element to the national media, the national platform. He's like one of the very few first people to do it on that level and break film down the way he does. That's why I like him. I always agree with the takes, but I like him. And my guy, the GM, Mike Tannenbaum, and Damian Woody was on the show this morning. Big conversation about Justin Fields, and Greeny led the conversation. I'm going to share some footage. I'm going to react to it live on the show, YouTube. This is a live reaction, so don't beat my video up. Don't censor my video. This is a live reaction to their statement, YouTube. But they had a lot to say, and I want y'all to hear, because I'm going to break down some of the double talk that's happening during this show. But I want to point some things out to you that my guy Dan Orlovsky said specifically. And I want y'all to pay attention to his takes, but also know when he gives these takes what his specific position is. All right, I got a little freezing going on up there. Make sure my Wi-Fi is connected right. I got the right Wi-Fi. All right, we good. Okay, good. All right. So yeah, we're gonna roll the footage. I'm gonna react to it. I'm gonna react to it. Let me play. Oh, can I react to the footage live or can I play it back? Oh, I didn't think about that well enough. So they might ban my video still. Dang it. All right. Either way, I don't care. It's not monetized anyway. So it's about giving the people what they want. So let's start this up. It's about having a conversation with y'all. I'm gonna play it and then we'll get back to it.
Through Lamar Jackson.
Okay, excellent. So there's that one. Now we're going to go to sound off. A couple of other interesting quarterback questions. The Bears have to decide whether they're going to move on from Justin Fields or draft him weapons in this year's NFL draft. Jeff Saturday, sitting here yesterday, said Chicago should not worry about the concept of, quote, generational players.
Yeah, I'm 100% keep Justin Fields. And listen, everybody's like, you got to do it. No, you don't got to do it. You got to do anything. There'll be another generational talent, y'all. I'm just letting you know. I've seen a bunch of them. Generational whatever. There'll be another one coming around. Go get Marvin Harrison Jr. Go get 4 or 5 first-round picks and second-round picks. Because guess what? When you have 2 dudes like that with Moore and Harrison Jr. on the outside, come on, man. Then we'll go find the guy who can go just complete passes.
So just there you have it. Jeff Saturday, I forgot to mention Jeff Saturday's name. Jeff Saturday set the conversation up, or Greeny set this conversation up with Jeff Saturday's take from yesterday's show about what to do about Justin Fields. Spoiler alert. I agree with Jeff Saturday. But this conversation is so nuanced, it goes beyond just whether or not I agree with Jeff Saturday and what we should do. Now, what I'm not going to spoil is I'm not going to spoil the film breakdown, or I'm going to promote the film breakdown I'm going to do on Caleb Williams. I'm going to do a show, maybe a whole show on Caleb Williams, one on Drake May. I spread it out because we got a long off season, right? But I'm going to do a film breakdown, which I started this Monday on Caleb Williams, right? And really looking at what Lincoln Riley was asking them to do schematically versus their opponents And if that skill set translates to the NFL, right? Whether it transfers to the NFL. Now, to be fair, I have never done a Justin Fields, skill set translation from Ohio State to the NFL because we didn't know we were getting Justin Fields and the channel was new. So I have to call that out. This will be the first time that I'm going to be breaking down quarterbacks and some of our top talent, offensive linemen, wide receivers in the offseason as potential draft picks. But particularly, I'm taking a look at these quarterbacks because a lot of the takes from what I'm calling now the FOMO 40, put that in the chat, the FOMO 40, what I'm calling the FOMO 40, fear of missing out 40. The 40 is for the 40% non-Justin Fields supporters, according to my survey that I did. Over 400 people replied on Twitter X. About 40% were non-supporters. That's fine. The FOMO, fear of missing out. I'm doing this breakdown because most of the FOMO 40 are convinced that the kid is a transcendent generational talent. And you saw the sarcasm, I think it was, that Greeny threw in there, Jeff threw in there when he was talking about it. He said there are going to be many more generational transcendent talents to come, and to build around Justin Fields, to build around JF1, to build around the kid, right? They got into a discussion about finances and salary cap and all this other stuff. But I'm gonna continue the conversation. Just played that clip of because let you know it. And at a macro level, I agree with Jeff. At a overarching level, I agree with Jeff. But as the conversation continued, I noticed certain things that I agreed with and I still didn't agree with that jumped out to me. I'm going to play the next clip and see what we got to say about
it. So this almost turned into what would have been the worst fight in the history of mankind between Damian Woody and Mike Tannenbaum.
That's why I overpaid him, because this is how we negotiated his contract.
D-Wood, when you hear Jeff Saturday say, keep Fields, trade that pick, get a king's ransom for it, put weapons around him, what do you think?
My heart tells me I totally agree with Jeff. I totally agree. And I know we got the graphic that shows, like, if we put Justin Fields' number over 17 games, I mean, this is what you essentially will be, trading away right here.
Right.
I mean, those are really good numbers right there for Justin Fields on a team, quite honestly, that's still bereft of talent. Like, you trade away that number one pick and you get three ones and some other picks on top of that, and it really infuse this roster. Where would Justin Fields be with a much better roster around him? Those are good numbers. I get it. I got what Mike T was coming from. Resetting the contract, Caleb Williams, everybody's talking about he's a transcendent talent. I get all of that. But that's an unknown. I know I'm watching every week what Justin Fields is doing out there. I don't know what Caleb Williams is going to do in the National Football League.
So let us now open the accounting offices of Tannenbaum and Greenberg. How, in your view, Mike T., does the accountant in you, the capologist in you, view this decision?
Yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer. And I like Justin Fields. Let the record show this is not an anti-Justin Fields. This is called the salary cap. Something I tried to explain to D. Wood a decade ago. Obviously, I didn't do a good job.
You didn't care about it when you paid him.
Yeah, exactly. So let's be clear, Greeny. Bryce Young, the first pick in the draft, averages $9,488,000. Justin Fields, plus or minus, will be $35 to $40 million a year. Daniel Jones, and let's say it's Atlanta in a trade. I'd rather have Caleb Williams, who has higher upside, in my opinion, plus roughly an additional $30 million a year to improve the team. Here's the context. Gardner Minshew this year is making $1,750,000. Daniel Jones is making $40 million. Context matters in roster construction.
Okay, so this...
Okay. Y'all heard Damian Woody. You heard Mike Tannenbaum last. So Tannenbaum says context matters. So I'm going to start with Tannenbaum and work my way back to Woody, which is going to be an easy agreement with Woody. But the part that Tannenbaum mentioned about the salary cap says that Justin is probably going to cost the Bears as a signee or a contract extension about 35-40 million a year, right? So we're saying that he probably get a 4 or 5 year deal. Say let's call it 40 million a year for 4 years. What is that? 160 million. It's not a Patrick Mahomes deal, right? I don't know where that ranks in the top 10 quarterbacks, top 15, top 20 quarterbacks, but it's not a Patrick Mahomes deal. I believe Patrick Mahomes got 250, 215, 250 mil. It's nowhere near that. Okay, that's the first point I wanted to make. The second point I want to make is it's not competitive with that deal. But the other part of the context that matter, I had an old man moment there for a second. Y'all saw me get lost live on the air. Is Ryan Poles has prepared the financial and the books of this roster to be able to manipulate the books however way he wants to manipulate the books. It would be different if we didn't have our financial house in order and we get to pick and choose where we put the money. Ryan Poles is totally, and the rest of the Bears kind of financial staff, they're totally in control of the salary cap from a management standpoint. We still have money out there. I don't know how much. I don't do the financial stuff and all that other stuff. I'll break all that stuff down in the off season. But we still have money out there to spend, even after the Montez Sweat deal. Had we held on to some of our older star players like Khalil Mack and all this other stuff, then we wouldn't have been in a position to have the leeway to re-sign or hang on to Justin Fields or whatever the case may be. We would have been in a position, the decision would have been made for us. We'd have been forced to reset the quarterback market since context matters, right? But because we're in control of our own books, we can decide where to spend our money, and the market is not dictating to us, or players aren't dictating to us what we should do with the salary cap. That's why in the Jalen Johnson situation, Jalen maybe came in, and I'm not saying this is the number, but if Jalen came in at 23 and Ryan's not spending 23, he doesn't want to spend in 23, Ryan has the leverage right now. He has the leverage right now. And Ryan is controlling the books. He's totally in control of books. Imagine being a GM and you don't have the books reset like Ryan chose to do when he took over. Now you're at the liberty and the mercy of players and contracts ending. You basically have to play seesaw with your books, and you have to do what the market is telling you and try to win at the same time. This is the importance of totally resetting the books. Now that you reset the books, you control the books, you control the roster. Now you can sign guys of value that you feel bring value to your team. He got a great deal, basically got TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds for combined for, I believe, less than what he would have paid Roquan Smith. See how TJ Edwards is working out. Tremaine Edmonds is trending up. Okay, he did that. Sign Cole, sign Billings, right? For cheap, in my opinion. He got Billings, got a discount on Billings. Jalen came out, said, hey, I want this much. I'm not doing that. Go out there and seek a trade. Let the guy seek a trade. Didn't get the number he wanted out there. Now Jalen has said, as of this week, I want to stay with the Bears. So he's playing his leverage right because he has control of the book. So all of the conversation Mike Tannenbaum is having about the books, he has to understand, maybe unlike he did when he was a GM, is Mike or Ryan Poles has control of his roster, so he doesn't have to overpay. I want to make that clear. There's another point I want to get to later after following videos, but I'm not going to even comment on the Damian Woody comment because, again, on a macro level, I agree. What Damian and Jeff Saturday are not saying, and I don't disagree with them, But what they're not saying is the why. Why they're not going into depth and nuance of why necessarily you keep Justin Fields and trade back, get more draft capital, and continue to build this roster. You know what I'm saying? They're describing in general. I think Jeff said it a little bit. Yes, he did. My apologies. He did say that a little bit. There are other assets you can build out this roster with and make a competitive football team that they got into. I want to go into this next clip because I know I can talk and belay it. I'm just trying to be clear with what my position on and what I disagree on what they were saying. And I think we're going to get into it right here.
Of uncertainty. And you could get 3 or 4 or 5 very high draft picks if you traded away the first pick in this year's draft. You're going to get good players with those. You have a bird in the hand. You have a known in Justin Fields who isn't going to get Patrick Mahomes' contract. In the big picture, that doesn't make sense?
No, because look at Kansas City. Like Patrick Mahomes, they win championships on his rookie deal. He gets the deal he deserves, and now all of a sudden we're talking about their tackles. Tyreek Hill graduates. It's the math. And when you pay a quarterback, deservedly so, $55 million.
Can I also say this as well? It's like, okay, you go with the rookie quarterback. All right. What if it's a disaster? Now you got a regime change, and then you got the similar situation that you speak about all the time when it comes to Chicago. How it's always
they're never on schedule.
They're never on schedule. They're never in sync together. That the Bears have an opportunity right now with Fields playing the way he's playing.
You can win
with
a
all
lot
of
of
these
games with
assets.
him.
You can win a lot of games.
The Bears organization has been behind the chains, to use that term, off schedule. It's 3rd and 11 in Chicago for 100 years. I'm not.
All right, I'm not going to let y'all pile on my Bears like that. But I want y'all to notice something about what Tom Tenenbaum said in that clip compared to the first clip. The first clip, he was talking about 30, 35, 40 million a year. Then when he enacted the Patrick Mahomes situation, he said 50, 55 million a year. Now, between the first statement you said and the second statement you said and the example you gave, why does the number jump from 35 to 55? It jumped almost 20 million a year between your takes. So you don't have an idea what you're saying yourself, right? You're thinking possibly Justin Fields could be in a situation to command Patrick Mahomes type of money in this situation. Could it possibly happen if he plays lights out of his mind in two years from now? Yes, because if you build this roster and you wait until we go on a run, yes, right? But you have to make a decision now, especially with inflation and so on and so forth. As the years go by, these contracts are going to get bigger and bigger. That's the assumption, right? And especially with kids coming out of college right now, them getting NIL money, that's going to force the NFL to pay players, you know what I'm saying, inflated salaries. Because like the latest rumor, for example, Marvin Harrison Jr. is rumored to have been offered $20 million a year to stay, NIL money to stay at Ohio State. All right, $20 million is probably going to be guaranteed twice probably his first year's salary in the NFL. So if you having to compete with college NIL money, a lot of these players are going to stay, insure their contracts in college, insure their NIL money or their NFL position, and stay for additional years to get the monies. That's leverage against the NFL. That's just business 101. But how does the number from Mike Tannenbaum's standpoint jump from 35 mil to 55 mil in the same conversation? You're all over the place with your numbers, Mike, right? So the best thing for them to do is you need to make a decision this year or next year about what you're going to do about Justin Fields from a salary standpoint. And I'm not okay with the Bears putting themselves in financial jeopardy for anybody. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, Justin Fields. I don't care if it was Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Don't make financial decisions that's going to handicap this team for the future. But we also know that the price tag is going to go up. just like our boy DJ Khaled, or his name, Joey Crack, right? Fat Joe says, to yesterday's prices, not today's prices, right? Yesterday's prices aren't today's prices. The price tag is going to go up. So you got to figure it out. But at the same time, understand Ryan Poles has all the leverage right now. He doesn't have to do anything. But I believe this next clip is the one I want to get to because it's really Dan's take. So hopefully I've done a good job of poking a hose in Mike Tannenbaum's argument. But Dan Orlovsky's usually my boy, and it's still my boy. I had some issues with his take. I wanted to play here real fast because I'm pretty much done with my Caleb Williams film, if you will. And Dan said something here to point it out to me.
Okay, so this conversation I find fascinating. You often ask us questions, and in many ways we want to be convicted with our answer. What should the Chicago Bears do? I don't know. And to me, that's unbelievable that a week before Christmas, we're in I don't know. It's a credit to Justin Fields that he's even made this a conversation.
He's made it
because early October, it was like, what are we talking about? I don't know what they're going to do.
Danny, I want to ask you a question on behalf of Bears fans everywhere, because this is what they want to know. Because we understand that the salary cap is a huge part of this.
But we get caught up in that too much.
Well, at the end of the day, who's going to be the better player? So you sit there on Saturday nights on ABC with Booger and Nagandi.
Yeah.
You watch all the games. You've seen tons of Caleb Williams. You haven't started doing all the evaluation you will leading up to the draft. But you've seen more than enough of him to have a sense. Like 3 years from now, all other things being equal, would you rather have Justin Fields or Caleb Williams as your quarterback? Because that might be, in the big picture, the best way to answer this question.
My answer is Caleb Williams.
Okay.
I think Caleb Williams is a more talented player coming out of college than Justin was 2 or 3 years ago when he came out. There is, when it comes to jaw-dropping, playmaking, making something out of nothing like I just showed with Lamar Jackson, that's Caleb Williams. I said that at the beginning of this year, he is Lamar, he's Patrick, and he's Josh Allen, all combined into one at his highs. Now his lows, he doesn't play in structure much. Can he get there? That's a determination that teams are going to have to kind of figure out. I'm going to remind you, I've said this before, don't lock him in with the number 1 pick either.
Yeah.
The young man from North Carolina is going to be in that conversation. I think the two things that the Bears have to ask themselves are, we get caught up in the whole reset the quarterback like financially thing too much. How's that working out with the Jets and Zach Wilson? The 49ers wanted to do Trey Lance. How'd that work out? One, who's going to be the better player?
Right.
Your question.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Is Justin Fields going to be worth $40 million? And then, are you ready to take on a rookie quarterback? Because too often, the Patriots with Mac Jones, the Steelers with Kenny Pickett, teams draft quarterbacks and aren't built to support them. Are they really built to support a rookie quarterback in Chicago? Offensively, right now, that answer is no.
Greedy, so let me.
All right. So Dan said a lot right there. He said a lot right there, but I hope you guys didn't overreact or overhear the question when he asked who's going to be when Greeny asked who's going to be the better quarterback, Caleb Williams or Justin Fields. Who's Dan's going to take? Hopefully you didn't close your ears after he made that statement because he contradicted himself. The first thing Greeny said was, I know you haven't broken down the tape. I know you haven't broken down the film yet, but you've seen enough to basically be able to make an assumption or assertion as to who it is you would take right now. That was the comment from Greeny, right? That was a comment from Greeny. And he basically forced Dan to say who it is right now he would take. And Dan chose Caleb Williams. No problem with that. With context. With the context is Dan hasn't broken down the film. So I have. So I'm gonna tell you a hot take right now. I'm gonna give you a little hint and a clue to what's coming when I actually do the film breakdown live on the show. By the time the draft comes, Dan Orlovsky would have changed his take. He would have changed his position on this. That's my hot take for today. My hot take for today is by the time the draft, comes around, Dan Orlovsky would have changed this take he just said right now. Once he has a time to break down the film, and actually you will hear some of it when in what he just said. He threw the Lamar. He said he's Lamar, he's Josh Allen, and he's Patrick Mahomes all in one. Always be careful when people use a bunch of hyperbole. When people use a bunch of hype, always be mindful. Always be on alert when people use a bunch of hyperbole. My dad has a great saying. I don't know if he's in the chat right now. He used to say, hey, what makes an All-American? 1 or 2 good plays and a poet in the press box. That's what my dad used to tell me when I played ball. Don't worry about the All-American across the field. He's probably made 1 or 2 plays, and they got somebody hyping them up in the press box. That's what makes an all-star, All-American, transcendent talent, generational talent, is what my pops told me. By the way, shout out to y'all. 53 in the chat. I think that's a show record. So shout out to y'all. 53 in the comments, or 53 comments out there. Shout out to y'all. So that was the first alert. Then he said, that's the highs. Lamar Jackson, Allen, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. That's the highs. But this is the part that stuck out to me, which I agree holistically, 1,000% behind. And I find troubling what he said. That's the highs. The highs is he can make all the magical plays like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. But he said the lows, which a lot of people are going to miss over or bruise over, is he doesn't play in structure. He doesn't play in structure. And I'm going to break down. I know y'all want me to probably do it right now. I'm preparing the film for the show. I'm waiting till after the season. I gotta string y'all along for some reason to keep us occupied in the off season. I'm not doing it during the season. I'm gonna break down in film and what that actually means, because I agree with that statement 1,000%. I agree with the highs being all of the electric. The highs could be a Josh Allen, or I'm gonna say Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. The highs could be Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I wouldn't throw Lamar Jackson in there so much, because Lamar Jackson is a bigger guy. Lamar Jackson is a bigger guy that has straight line speed and can stretch the field, and basically he could give you a Justin Fields like season in terms of running and rushing the ball. So straight line, I mean, talking about just like game breaking long runs and stuff like that. These guys got enough speed. Josh and Patty, they're gonna get you a couple first down, 20, 30 yards. They ain't beating no cornerbacks, wide receivers, and straight line speed. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I agree with pretty much the assessment he said. But I don't want us to overlook the lows, because I think that's the most important part when evaluating the Caleb Williams. The lows is he doesn't play in structure. And what does the NFL require you to do? What are we critical, or what is the FOMO 40 getting on Justin for? What is their biggest beef with Justin? He doesn't throw the ball. He doesn't get rid of the ball. He holds onto the ball. He doesn't play within. Oh, this sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? It sounds kind of familiar. See, we'll hang on what he said, what the highs is, and that's what I think the FOMO 40 is all about. They're about the highlights. They're about the highlights, the big plays, the scrambling, and big throws and stuff. Listen, you cannot play circus clown football in the NFL. This is not parking lot football. You have to play within the structure and the system. Now, that's similar to what the detractors are saying about Justin. So, the biggest thing is who are you going to, and are they set up to develop you? I don't care what team it is. So it's the same problem that the Chicago Bears are trying to solve with Justin Fields to me. And it doesn't matter because if you go back and throw up the chart that I showed you the other day, guys, only so many teams are playing off structured ball. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it with that. Y'all let me know. I've given away a lot of what I want to talk about without breaking down the film already. But not a whole lot of NFL teams are playing unstructured ball. And keep in mind, NFL defensive linemen are way faster than college defensive linemen. NFL linebackers are way faster than college NFL linebackers. So, and unless you can guarantee that this guy's going to be able to shrug off Myles Garrett, arguably the greatest defender in the NFL right now, and still be able to reverse field and throw, moving to your left, a dart for a touchdown, right? And all things be even, all things are equal, all things are even. Unless you're able to guarantee that and still be able to lead your team, keep your composure with all the pressures on you, keep the locker room together, galvanize the locker room, be a model citizen in the community, you know what I'm saying? Willing to put your whole team on your back and have your teammates have your back. All the knowns versus the unknowns, very unknown variables, right? Unless you're willing to do all that, unless you know for a fact that that can happen, even if things were equal, I'm saying, what are we talking about? I'm saying if things were even and you think the ceiling and the floor are equal for both, I'm saying you have to do some risk assessment. You have to do some risk management and say, hey, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm getting. I know the character. I know the leadership. I know all these other things. I know the ability. All I got to do is fix one thing over here versus I don't know what I'm getting, all these other variables. Yes, I'm leading the witness. Yes, I'm stacking the cards. This is not, you know what I'm saying, hocus pocus tricks and all this other stuff. I'm telling you that with the exceptions of breaking down Caleb Williams' film for you, I'm telling you all the things that should go into this decision. And I'm going to say this, Dan has not broken down the film yet because Dan never says, I don't know. When Dan has broken down this film, my hot take is that Dan Orlovsky is going to change his tape. And y'all copy the footage. Y'all tag me in the video when it comes out. Y'all follow him and y'all tell me, y'all tag me when it comes out. I'm telling you, I'm putting everything. If I'm wrong, I'm coming on the show and giving myself the drunk uncle. But I'm saying when he has a chance to break it down and actually see the coverages and what they're actually running in Southern Cali, what kind of offense they're running in Southern California versus, you know what I'm saying? Is he making NFL type throws? Because guess what? The system matters. The system matters. The system matters. What you're doing in college matters. It should be preparing you for the next step. And I said before I started, in all fairness, I can't go back and look at Justin Fields. I can go back and look at the film and the tape. I can if y'all want me to do it. I'll do it. I'm not running from nothing. I'll run back. I'll go back and do it. I'm not running from nothing. I didn't do it before. But if you want me to pull up his college tape, I don't know what good that would do, though, but I will do it. But because the argument now is against what are you doing versus NFL talent now, not what you did in college. That's why it wouldn't make sense to me to do it, but I would do it for detractors. It wouldn't be nothing for me to prove. It would be a moot point because, again, the argument is what are you doing right now in the NFL talent, and do we know that as a known commodity? Are you out here making the best NFL talent and the best athletes in the world look silly. Yes, you are. For 2 seasons, you've made splash plays here and there, devoid of talent, and made the NFL, best in the NFL, look silly versus us having to compete with an unknown commodity. So I probably beat that dead horse to death. Let me get to the comment section real fast. I gotta give a shout out to y'all, but I was trying to drive a point home. Hopefully I made a point how I feel about it. But the biggest thing is the take. Watch Dan. I believe he's going to change his opinion by the time the draft comes around. And I didn't point out this contradiction before I move on. The other contradiction that they said was Dan even said it himself. Both of them said it in the same show. They were like, hold on a second. Don't forget about Drake May. Drake May potentially could end up at the number 1 position. Both Dan Orlovsky said that and Mike Tannenbaum said that. Both of them said it during the show. That hold on a second. Drake May could end up at the position, at the number 1 position, and not Caleb. I thought he was transcended. I thought he was generational. If he's generational transcendent, it's no contest. It should be clear. Just like a lot of us are convinced, a lot of you guys are convinced that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the top receiver in this draft. It should be a clear-cut favorite. I'm sorry, clear-cut favorite who the guy is. And as we go into the playoffs, with those guys not playing in the playoffs, the water is going to get even more murkier because guess what? We are victim of the moment as fans and people that watch football. Guess what? If you're not playing and he chose not to play in the play bowl, in the bowl game, Caleb Williams did. He chose not to play. Guess what? People are going to look at one of these guys and these quarterbacks are going to have a splash performance in this college football playoffs coming in a few weeks. And guess what? Out of sight, out of mind. So I'm telling you, it should be a clear-cut favorite. It shouldn't be by the way, we better not forget about Drake May. Even no, if you're the transcendent generational one, everybody should be like, oh, cool. Yeah, that guy sitting over there. Yeah, he's just a dude. What are we talking about? It's a contradiction. I just wanted to point those things out. It was obvious to me when I watched it this morning. I'm like, oh, look, what are y'all? Y'all can't double talk me, man. Come on, man. Let's get in these comments.
You get like
bro.
some crazy DMs or what?
Very.
Surprises or no?
You're talking like blue check marks?
Yeah, like
people who be sliding and I'm like, wow, y'all fuck with me like that.
Hey, y'all rock with me like that. Who we got in the comments? I'm going to work from the bottom up. So, matter of fact, I'm going to go and do it in order. I'm going to smooth jump my way down. I'm trying to go through these quickly. Where goes one? I see you, my guy. Cornelius, I see you. J2K in the comments. I see you. What up, my guy? What's going on, family? Foster Covers from BCPB. I see you on there. Done and done, coach. I appreciate you, Foster, man, for hanging in there. It's tapping in. I'm going to get into some decent defensive film before we get out of here. Hopefully, I ain't got too far. It's 47. I got some time. Probably got about 30 more minutes, man. But hopefully, y'all having fun, man. So, it is what it is, man. Where goes one? Say Jeff, one quarterback, one him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to leave this up for a minute because, you know what I'm saying? They're lesser. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some slight shade out there. There are some lesser known channels, and I don't disrespect other Bears DIY media or YouTubers. By the way, I did a survey this week. Maybe it was bipartisan or partisan. I don't know the proper word to use, but either way, I think it was partisan. Partisan is the proper word to use. I did a survey this week and asked people if they preferred the traditional beat writer room or DIY media room, and came back almost 85% prefers Bears DIY media over the beat room, by the way. So if you're out there, you feel kind of strange about doing the DIY media thing. I know it's not always the greatest reward for your time and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? My advice is just to keep it fun, keep it light, and understand that you're providing a service to the people, man. And just keep it fun, man. Keep it fun. But back to my slight shade, because I know I got some detractors out there. You know what I'm saying? There's recent name thrown out there. I'm not going to give them no shine on my channel. Y'all know who it is. Who, you know what I'm saying? Who hate people that hate that really can back that like Justin Fields that can back their takes up. Here's the deal. Do I realize that Justin Fields has work to do? He has work to do. He has a lot of work to do. And I'm not talking about a lot of work in terms of learning how the fundamentals of how to play the quarterback position and read defenses. I can go through the history of it. You know what I'm saying? I live here in the state of Georgia. Justin Fields was a household name here long before a lot of people knew who the kid was on the high school, middle school, high school level. You know what I'm saying? You know, Elite 11 winner, went to Georgia, went to Ohio State, all that good stuff. He was head to head in Elite 11 versus Trevor Lawrence and won Elite 11. Trent Dilfer's Elite 11 camp that they invite all the quarterbacks to, 7-on-7 league, so to speak. And you got to be able to read defenses and coverages and make the right throws under pressure and all that other stuff. Yeah, he beat out Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? I do the film study. So it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's different than me just making assumptions. I'm going to tie myself always to the film. And if I saw something that I'm like, this is a obvious glare, this is an obvious hole, there's just not a logical explanation as to why you're doing this, that, and the other, then you know what I'm saying? We're going to pounce on it. Like his first year, not picking up the blitz coverages and blitz calls and getting himself killed pretty much. We're going to call stuff like that out. But right now, the landscape in terms of the offensive system is not clear enough in the picture enough, and it's not sequenced enough and organized enough that you can even evaluate the film and say, oh, this progression, that progression, that progression. Oh, he should have been here. His eyes were going from here to here. He should have been on this. He should have let it go, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. It's too many questions. And there shouldn't be as many questions as we've been asking for people that look at the film and know football and know the film. Where there should be clear, oh, he was doing this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Hey, this is the answer, clear cut. Until I can answer those clearly, I can't really fault 100% the kid because I don't. It's questions about what you're being taught and told to do. That's the problem. That's the biggest concern. So if you want to think that, you know what I'm saying, I'm some kind of just blind to the like the kid is infallible, then that's not the perception. I can't wait for us to get a good coordinator, right? Somebody that's seasoned that knows what they're doing, so I can be like, oh yeah, we recognize this. This is what it should be, and I can actually truly break down the film and evaluate. Like, oh yeah, nah, they spun coverage here. They went too high. They went high, too high. They spun down a single high, dropped the guy out in a bucket. You know what I'm saying? And Justin threw it to the spinner. Justin threw it to the spinner. They showed him cover 2 zone. They spun down the cover 3 zone, and he just missed the coverage and stuff like this. And this is the thing, right, that I wanna focus on. I want to call attention to. I want to call attention to this. Usually, when we're ready to label somebody a bust, what is associated? What negative trait about a quarterback do we associate with bust? I want y'all to put that down in the comment. That's my way down. Right? I want y'all to put that down in the comment. What trait related to what obvious statistic, what number is high? That is it that we usually associate with bust quarterbacks? And I want y'all to put that in the chat, and I'm gonna meet y'all there. My guy James Ford, what up, guy? My guy Sean Sierra, the super back man. We gotta have you back on the show, my guy. Oh, I gotta go. I gotta do your show. What's up with that, man? I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on that invite. By the way, it's been so crazy, it's been so big. I did me and my wife are starting a podcast the next year too. We've been planning for a while, I've been procrastinating. But I did a kind of life and family podcast, marriage, relationships, dating podcast with my wife yesterday. And it was like the most bizarre thing. Anyway, I kind of, you know what I'm saying? I like talking about those subjects, but it gets exhausting, especially with the current gender war stuff going on, man. It was just crazy. So I've been podcasting every day this week, pretty much. Talked a bit over, and it's not a copy. Oh, okay. I think I'll track it with you. By the way, YouTube, this is a reaction video. I need to know, make sure I need to go relabel this video. This is a get up reaction video. I need to relabel the video so they don't, you know what I'm saying, do their thing with me and ban them, have, you know what I'm saying, copyright half my video because I'm sharing the show. How else do you react to it? It's a reaction video, YouTube. Chill out. Chill out. What up, yo? What up, Steve-O? Gotta have you on, my guy. We're gonna do that thing we was talking about pretty soon. Hey, Brian White said we should keep Fields and build around him. I mean, plainly said yes, but to your point, Brian, I want to get into the why, man. I want to get into the why we should do that. And this is not a whack naggy type of why, but I really want to break down based off of the schematics why I feel like it. And I want to do it by taking a look at Caleb Williams' film to let y'all see what I'm seeing and then let you make a determination for yourself through, I hope it's somebody's eyes that you trust. You know what I'm saying? Foster said 40 not informed enough to make a full, determined, and precise decision. I agree. The FOMO 40, man. FOMO, fear of missing out 40%. That's who they are. The fear of missing out. Am I glitching here? No glitching today, man. We don't want to do glitching today. We don't want to do glitching today. We're having fun. All right. Do I need to shut some stuff down? Am I not going to get a chance to do film today because the broadcast is acting quirky? All right. Perfect last name because all it takes is bomb. Bum. Bomb. Bum. All right, man. I'm not gonna try and press my luck with the show today. I'm already seeing glitch stuff happening. That's not fun. It's never fun show when I got glitch stuff going on. So come on, man. All right, y'all let me know if y'all still tracking in the comments. I see I got a little max headroom action going on, glitch action going on, but I still have audio. Uh, this is a new problem. This is not something uh we've had to endure. Probably the last two shores this just resurface its face, but um internet's good, the live's good, everything's good. It's just crazy. King Buka World said in INTs, no improvements. That's what you normally associate with a bus, right? CBP film says INTs you normally associate with a bus. Michael White says INTs, interceptions. Jay Sanders, interceptions, turnovers, right? Particularly, y'all knew where I was going with that. Usually it's INTs. Is you throwing the ball to the other team. Steve-O says accuracy issues, poor decision making, right? Why has there been, up until this game, both of the interceptions we had this game were at the end of the game and had to do with Hail Mary plays, the two interceptions. Up until then, we hadn't had interceptions. We hadn't talked about interceptions since Denver. Come on, man. Yeah. I'm gonna come off screen. We might have to go radio mode for a moment. We might All right, and I'm back. Here we go. See that? Refresh the stream. By the way, I think this might be either my MacBook issue or it might be I ain't gonna put it on StreamYard like that. But back to y'all's point, yes, the answer I was looking for was what you usually associate with bust is interception, man. Interceptions and accuracy issues. Interceptions and accuracy issues. Dirt and balls, can't make the throws. And the guys that have big arms that can make the throws, them being careless with the football and throwing interceptions. Zach Wilson's of the world. You know what I'm saying? The guys that may be rookies coming into leagues, Bryce Young, throwing interception. The guy hasn't thrown interceptions. He has a fumbling issue because he's trying to do too much and make too many plays, right? Has to be coached about pocket awareness and holding on to the ball in the pocket, or when you leave the pocket, just make sure you're aware that you have two hands on the on the football when you escape the pocket. That's all fair game. That's all fair game, right? That's all fair game. But we can't have a conversation about interceptions. We just absolutely can't, right? So that part is why I feel like people just default to the whole fumble situation. But anyway, y'all know where I'm going with that. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Those of us that know, if you're not in the know, you just ain't going to be in the know. It's fine. It's fine, man. I don't feel no kind of way about the FOMO 40. It is what it is, bro. But listen, I'm going to shift gears, man, because I feel like this defense is on its way. And I know they let us down towards the end of the game at Cleveland, but we cannot just breeze over the 3 interceptions, albeit from a guy that just got off the couch. You know, Flus wet the bed with the Justin Jones in coverage call. No doubt about that. But I think we're somewhere around 10, 12 turnovers, between 10 and 12 turnovers of the last 3 or 4 weeks. We got to be able to look at that as a positive and say that, hey, we're moving in the right direction. We're putting things together, and we just got to mature. We got to mature from a play caller standpoint, situationally. I think the first Detroit game reared its head versus Cleveland, where Flus just didn't get it done down the stretch with his calls. But the players, understanding that we have some mini monsters in place. Hey, Arturo makes a great point right here. I just don't want to. Yeah, when you got to do too much at the end of the game, bro, it's gonna be like legs tired. I'm not trying to make excuses. Everybody say make excuses. Well, listen, you're responsible for 80% of the offense, which statistically, the last 2 or 3 games has been somewhere between 60 and 80% of the plays. All you have to do is worry about and you're still overcoming. Then, you know, we are trying to get up. That's next year's move. The next year's move, the draft, is to get us out of the phase where we play hero ball, and then also get us a coordinator where we don't have to play hero ball. But back to the defense. Patriot Watch USA said the line block fine. Okay. Hey, I by the way, I'll say this, man. If you watch the film, I don't know if you have that tape. But back to the defense. I feel like the defense, we have enough dogs on each layer now. Montez Sweat, crazy. The man is leading 2 teams in sacks right now. That has to go in the Hall of Fame. His cleats have to go in the Hall of Fame. His cleats have to be added to the Hall of Fame for leading 2 teams in sacks right now. That's crazy, right? That's the first layer. Billings, dog. The Young Bulls coming along. I didn't see a whole lot of splash on tape from the Young Bulls this game, but they coming along. That linebacker trio, crazy. Edwards, and Jack Sanborn. I think they're probably going to go down in Bears history as probably one of the better linebacker trios. Listen to me, trios that we probably ever had. Now we've had some dogs back there, duos, but in terms of trios, Sanborn, Edmonds, and Edwards as a trio, we've had individuals. Now I was alive long enough to remember Singletary, Wilbur Marshall, and what was the other guy? Was it two W's? Marshall Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, Mike Singletary. I'm seeing the face, but I'm not coming up with a name. They had some dogs, but they played that 46 defense. It seemed like everybody was a linebacker on that defense. I'm not going to lie. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Otis Wilson. I said I was seeing the W. Thanks for coming through for me, y'all. Otis Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, and Mike Singletary. Crazy trio. I think although it was a different defense, this is the first time we get a chance to talk about a trio of potentially dogs. Jalen comes out and says, hey, I want to stay in Chicago this week. It happens. Jalen stays. Smith is on his heels. All right, we got Smith is playing with Smith. Smith pissed down his pants on that one Cooper touchdown. But as John Hoke explained today, he's learning. He's trending up though. Jalen stays, Smith balling, Gordon playing well. I worry about his little frame playing down in the box, but he's been all right since he came back from injury. Come on, Tyreek Stevenson. That interception was crazy. Tyreek Stevenson, by the way, is one of the most targeted cornerbacks in the NFL. He's top 10 in the NFL at being targeted. Expect it when you're a rookie. Expect it. But I think he's responded well to that. Right? Jaquan Brisker plays down in the box quite a bit. He's more of a box safety. We just got to get Eddie. Eddie gets an interception Sunday. I think, Eddie's better days are behind him, but he's playing. Think you replace Eddie, bring in some veteran interior defensive linemen, difference makers to mentor the interior defensive linemen to take them where they want to go. This defense is going to be all right. And the funny part about this, right? Isn't this so crazy, right? We're having all this conversation about quarterback play. The funny thing is, and it's been intentional by Chicago Bears to go out there and try to remove us from the Chicago Bears lure of pass and remove us from a city known for running the ball and playing tough defense. No matter what we do, and we end up back here and the defense is ahead of the offense. That's crazy to me. We've gone out of our way to try to make Chicago the New England Patriots, if you will. But no matter what, we find ourselves back at square one, and the defense is ahead of the offense again. It's crazy. Maybe it's just in the cards, man. Maybe we just need to stop fighting who we are. You are who you are. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we just need to get us a dog at running back, Justin Fields, build a great offensive line, and then go with it, man. Maybe that's what we just need to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how y'all feel about that. I just find it funny to me. I just found it funny that we find ourselves back here after so many years of, the monsters of the Midway. You know what I'm saying? Lining up in the frigid temperatures of Soldier Field. It's January. As the Cardinals come into Soldier Field to take on the reeling Chicago Bears. And here we are. It's defense, run the ball. We can't throw it all over the yard. It's like, come on, man. Can we catch an offensive break? Anyway, I think the defense is playing well, man. We have to I think it's really on the coaches to put them in position that ugly thing of 2 minute defense reared its head. Terrible decision. Um, and it's really not. It's not bad coaching. It's overcoaching. Overcoaching is a thing. Overcoaching is a thing. Sometimes you just got to listen to the game and let the game call itself. Sometimes the simple things, and which I think that Luke Getzey's problem is, the simple things are hard to Luke, and the hard things he emphasizes. It's probably like he's like practices the hard things or rehearses or practices the hard things, but he forgets to put in a contingency play off of the tush push and to make sure you put this tush push sweep in, but you forget to tell Justin, oh, by the way, if we don't get the look we need, just go ahead and sneak it. Like that's not a hard thing to do, right? Yet again today in today's presser, ask the question about the jet sweep. Okay, if it doesn't work it out, can Justin Kenny he just do XYZ? No, that's not what we train them to do. That's not what we pray. It's just too much of that. It's too much. Too many of the answers are the same, and it boils down to if you listen even to today's presser, he's a behind. I'm behind. It's always we're going to take the tape and learn from it. It's not. Oh yeah, from experience, and this is where the experience comes into play, right? I hate to jump back to the offense, but it just takes me back there. Too many times I have to learn from making mistakes. Well, if we had an experienced guy, the experienced guy can draw on. Yeah, I remember 5 years ago when we were playing such and such and such and on Monday Night Football, and they showed me this look and blah, 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 and I did this and I did that. And I'm back to the defense. Because I had a thought today after listening to John Hoke's press conference today. Why haven't we mentioned John Hoke's name as DC? Has John Hoke been to DC in Chicago before? I started to Google that and research it before I jumped on. Maybe you guys know. I missed about a good 4 years straight Chicago Bears football when I was in Japan. I ain't showed the Bears in Japan. We showed the Bucks. I hated it. That was the year they won the Super Bowl, by the way. One of those years when they won the Super Bowl. But why haven't we thought about John Hoke as DC? I know they say defensive back coach don't really normally make good defensive coordinators, but that it makes me nervous to have a defensive line coach be the DC or a linebackers coach to be the DC. Because the question for me would be is, do they understand coverages? You better have a really good cornerback coach that understands coverages. If I had to pick the three positions, I would pick a defensive back coach, to be honest with me. I don't know what Sean would say. Sean's in the comment. But if I had to pick between the three position coaches, I would pick a cornerbacks coach or a DBs coach because the coverages is probably the hardest part. You know what I'm saying? Because it's landmarks, you got to hit his zone coverages. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to get defensive backfields messed up. Cornelius said it was Leslie Frazier as a DB. Yeah, Arturo said I was wondering about Hoke as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? See, like maybe you promote a guy on the inside. Maybe you promote a guy on the inside of the building, and then you let him hire and pull up one of his guys as the new DB's coach that he's taught he's mentored and he's taught his philosophy to that he might trust. You know what I'm saying? We can't do total turnover with the whole staff throughout the seasons. Maybe you bring in a guy that's familiar, that Hoke is familiar with, that could coach these DBs up a little bit. Right? Some Cornelius talking about Leslie Frazier. I like Leslie Frazier as a defensive coordinator candidate. I like him as a defensive coordinator candidate. Richie Pettibone. Wasn't Richie in Green Bay? Was he in the Green Bay? or is he DB's coach? I don't remember. Foster throws out Jeff Fisher. I think Jeff Fisher was pretty vicious as a defensive coordinator. But did Jeff run a 3-4 or 4-3? I think Jeff ran a 4-3 too. So, I mean, listen, this has been my take about both coordinator positions, right? Because, you know, the one thing that all of the football world, the one beef they have with the Chicago Bears in our history, and you heard the Get Up staff talk about it, was the lack of, and I've said this in the earlier show this year, Chicago, no offense, as as somebody that doesn't live in the city, this is always the conversation I have with other people that don't live in the city about Chicago. I'm not being trying to be mean, but when I have this conversation, I always have to have debates with people about this with Chicago, about Chicago. It's always in sports, and with the exception of probably language or slang, things like that, they always be like, it's because it's such a culture that's focused on tradition. It's always like Greeny said today. It's always 3rd and 11, 3rd and 13 in Chicago. It's like we stay behind. And I think the way for Chicago to get ahead in the football world is not to go out and reach for a young gun, hipster, man bun wearing, moist toilet that moisturizes and does facials type of new hipster offensive coordinator that's Metro and all that other stuff. I don't think that's where you do it. I think Chicago needs to, it might sound backwards, but go out here and get one of the veteran offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators that can take us to the basics and build us up from the ground and provide some stability for the offense and the defense and get everybody on the same page, because what we need is not, it's not fancy. We need to be better at the basics. We need to be better at assignment, fundamentally sound football. And then you build it and you have your young staff and you mentor young people behind that, veteran staff, and you bring them up and you rely on those guys to be more innovative and creative, and you give them the freedom to do something. Going out here and get these young hipster style. Like, here's the thing, bro. I even said it, and I stand on my take about it. Because we can sit here and play, you know what I'm saying? We can sit here and be hindsight's 2020, whatever. My thoughts about Mike McDaniel was this, and I got to get there and watch the show today. Was this? I would have loved to have Mike McDaniels in Chicago. But every person doesn't fit every culture. Mike McDaniels in Chicago would have been like a fish out of water as a head coach. That's why I thought it would have been a great stop for Mike McDaniels to come to Chicago as a coordinator. If you had a Matt Eberflus, for example, and he had oversight over a young Mike McDaniels, imagine that. You know what I'm saying? Matt Eberflus has kind of a dry personality, dry humor type of guy. You got Mike McDaniels to kind of balance him out. Luke Getsy kind of does that, but he just don't have the offensive chops to be as confident as he is. But imagine that. And I said Mike McDaniels is offensive coordinator. That was my pick in the offseason. Guy ends up getting a head coach job. He's doing a tremendous job, right? But as a head coach, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you win Chicagoans over with the personality, but I'm just saying, I just didn't think. I was like, man, this guy, I'm confident he can come in here and get it done offensively, but I'm just worried about Chicago, the city, the culture, the vibe, if it's going to be off. some of the same issues that Justin Fields struggles with, probably behind closed doors. Because whether you recognize it or not, you know what I'm saying, Chicago was not necessarily culturally ready for. And I said this last year in a argument on the show that I had with my former, co-host about the show. I said Chicago's not ready, man. Culturally, Chicago's not ready. Justin is going to present all kinds of uh ethical, cultural, and moral challenges for Chicago. And if you haven't been exposed to, you know what I'm saying, if you haven't been exposed to pop smoke braids and do rags on your quarterback and funky outfits and all this other stuff, you probably wouldn't matter. I could imagine if somebody like Lamar Jackson was in Chicago. I'm just stating the obvious. You know what I'm saying? We could deny it if we want to, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think we get us a veteran offensive coordinator, great football mind. I heard Jim Caldwell's name thrown out there, and this is what concern. I like Jim Caldwell. I like him as an offensive mind, like him as an offensive football. But I wonder about Jim's personality and how it plays into how he coaches football. I want a guy offensively that is a hard-nosed offensive coach that thinks about the physicality of the game first. That's who I want. I want a guy that's creative, but I also want somebody that's situationally and culturally aware in terms of where you are, Chicago. Understand we're going to play good defense. It's going to get cold here. Understand that we just don't want to finesse teams to death. We want to actually beat teams up. We want to beat teams up. We want to beat teams up like Cleveland beat us up Sunday in the trenches, right? We want to beat teams up in the trenches, and I want an offensive coordinator that's cognizant of that. I want him to be like, all right, we're playing Cleveland this Sunday. I recognize that they have one of the better defensive lines in the league. We're not running from them. We're not backing down. We're gonna make this a backyard brawl. We're gonna test their will. We're gonna see what they got up front. We wanna see what all the hype is. That's how I think as a coach, as a coordinator, as an offensive guy. I think about beating people up. I think about bullying the bully because I want to send a message to my players. We're not running from nobody. And 40 pass calls tells me that you're trying to out finesse the opponent. You're trying to outsmart guys that got more experience than you. Right? You're trying to avoid the hard thing. No, we're running right through it. We're running right to you. We're coming in your living room, right? We come into your house. My mic started cutting itself down. We come into your house, right? We putting our feet up on the furniture. We eating your food. You know what I'm saying? We're going to ask your old lady to go grab us a beer and slap her on the ass. That's what we doing. That's the conversation I'm having with my players. That's the pregame speech I'm having with my players. We're going to come to your house. We're going to eat your food. We're going to sit in your chair, put our feet up on the furniture, ask your old lady to grab us a beer and slap her on the ass. That's what we doing. We're not running from nothing. And we don't have people like that. We don't got a guy like that. We ain't got no dog in him. Anyway, I'm not gonna chance it today. I'm not gonna mess around with the film. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, man. Too much going on with this internet today, man. And my apologies. We're gonna have to get this thing figured out. I think I need an update. I got to do an update on my MacBook Pro. That's what it is. I'll get a few more comments up before we get up there. Sean said, I think linebackers, DBs can make the best coordinators. Yeah. Absolutely. And especially when we start talking about that mentality, especially those linebacker coaches. Y'all see what Antonio Pierce is doing in Las Vegas right now. Gee whiz. You got those dudes playing with their hair on fire. Unapologetic truth. Thanks for checking in, my guy. He said it feels here to stay. We hope so. All right, man. I'm gonna let y'all get to your families. By the way, you know what I'm saying? It's Friday before Christmas tomorrow. Happy holidays to you, man. Listen, let's put our New Year's wishes out there for the Bears to 2024 to bring us, you know what I'm saying, nothing but tidings and joy in the football world next year. That we have a great off season. Ryan Poles. Oh, I saw Ryan Oles. Ryan Poles brings this thing home to get it done in his draft. Yeah, that includes trading back some and grabbing a haul, right? And we get it done next year. But listen, if I don't talk to y'all before, I think I ain't doing no shows on Sunday because it's Christmas Eve or whatever. But I don't talk to y'all. Listen, happy holidays to y'all. Make sure y'all stay safe out there for the new year. You know what I'm saying? Protect yourself at all times. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. And from Coach T and the family over here, man, listen, happy holidays and bear down. We're going to see y'all next week. We'll talk more Bears football. Let's talk soon. Peace.